While most people his age spent every weekend partying, playing games, and having fun, there was someone who made a different choice. Every night, he would sit in front of his computer to study money, investments, and business. At the time, no one understood why. To everyone else, he was simply wasting his youth. But that quiet decision was beginning to change the course of his life. Days went by, but his routine remained exactly the same. While his friends collected memories of parties and weekends, he collected knowledge. Soon, the jokes began. People said he was wasting his youth. What no one realized was that some of the greatest achievements begin precisely when no one believes in you. The criticism didn't come only from friends. At home, the situation was even harder. His family felt he spent too many hours in front of the computer without doing anything truly important. Everyone kept urging him to look for a traditional job. Yet, in the quiet of his room, he believed he was building something that no one else could see yet. Even though he heard the same criticisms every day, he never changed his routine. When the house finally fell silent, he would turn on his computer once more. While everyone else slept, he spent hours studying investments, economics, and digital business. He knew that great results rarely come to those who give up too soon. After so much time spent studying, something finally began to happen. The first results appeared. It wasn't much money, but it was proof that he was on the right track. Even so, to an outsider, nothing had changed. The criticism continued, because no one could see what was being built. But the small results still weren't enough to convince anyone. At home, the pressure mounted week by week. People said it would never work out and that he needed to find a real job. He listened to it all in silence. Deep down, he knew that major changes take time, and he decided to keep going, even without anyone's support. You began to realize that every choice came at a price. While your friends traveled, went to parties, and bought new things, you chose to keep learning. Sometimes you felt the urge to do the same. But whenever you thought about the future you wanted to build, the answer was always the same. It wasn't time to give up yet. The months went by, and, without anyone noticing, your life began to change. The results stopped being merely small amounts and started to grow little by little. Even so, you continued living the same way, without showing off, without telling anyone, because you understood that wealth is built in silence, not to impress others. Over time, one thing changed completely. You stopped worrying about proving anything to others. While many flaunted everything they bought, you preferred to keep your results quiet. No one knew how much you had saved. And, to you, that was exactly how it should be. Even after all this time, some people kept saying you were wasting your time. To them, success only existed when it was visible. Since your life still seemed simple, no one imagined what was happening behind the scenes. You could have answered, but you chose to remain silent. After all, time would do that for you. The years went by, and discipline became part of who you were. Studying was no longer an effort. It was a habit. While many people were still looking for shortcuts to get rich quick, you kept doing the basics day in and day out. Without realizing it, you were building something far greater than money. Freedom. Everything seemed to be going on as usual. You kept studying, working, and living a simple life. No one had any idea how much your life had changed. But sometimes, it is precisely when everything seems calm that life decides to place its greatest test in your path. You answer the phone, and sense that something is wrong before you even hear the full explanation. The voice on the other end is desperate. Your mother has suddenly taken ill. Within minutes, everything that seemed important vanishes. You grab your keys, rush out of the house, and realize that this night is going to change your life completely. When you arrive at the hospital, you find the whole family gathered together. The atmosphere is one of silence, fear, and uncertainty. No one knows exactly what is happening, and every minute feels like an eternity. For the first time in many years, money is no longer on your mind. All you want is to hear that your mother will be okay. The doctor takes a deep breath before starting to explain the situation. Her mother would need immediate treatment to increase her chances of recovery. The news brings a moment of relief, but it lasts only a few seconds. Then comes the hardest part of the conversation, and no one was prepared to hear it. Then came the number. The treatment had to begin immediately, and it would cost far more than anyone in your family could afford. Everyone around you froze, but instead of fear, you felt something else. All those years of sacrifice had prepared you for this exact moment. The conversation quickly turned into desperation. Your father started thinking about selling the family car. Other relatives talked about loans, debts, and anything they could do to raise the money. You listened to every word, but stayed completely silent. Because deep down, you already knew none of that would be necessary. You didn't interrupt anyone. You didn't tell them how much you had. You simply watched the people you loved trying to solve a problem that had already been solved. There was only one thing left to do, the right moment to act. You walked away from the waiting room without saying a word. Standing alone in the quiet hospital hallway, you unlocked your phone. Years of discipline, sacrifice, and patience had led to this moment. With complete confidence, you opened your banking app and prepared to change everything. Without hesitation, you pressed confirm. Years of saving, learning, and investing came down to a single tap. You didn't think about the money for a second, because at that moment it wasn't an expense. It was the reason you had worked so hard all those years. And when the payment was approved, you quietly slipped your phone back into your pocket, as if nothing had happened. A few minutes later, the doctor walked back into the waiting room. Everyone stood up, expecting more bad news. But instead, he looked around in confusion. The treatment has already been paid for. The room went completely silent. Every eye slowly turned toward you. No one could believe it. The same person they once said was wasting time in front of a computer had just saved the family when it mattered most. No expensive clothes, no luxury car, no social media posts, just quiet preparation, revealed at the perfect moment. On the way home, no one talked about money anymore. They talked about discipline, about patience, about believing in something before anyone else could see it. In that moment, you realized something. Success isn't about proving people wrong. It's about being there when the people you love need you the most. Years ago, people thought you were sacrificing your life. But in reality, you were building the freedom to protect the people you loved. Money was never the goal. It was simply the tool that allowed you to be there when it mattered most. So remember this: the greatest investment you'll ever make isn't in the market. It's in the person you're becoming.